Hello and welcome to the Discover Virginia Beach podcast. I'm your host, Joseph Trahan, your tour guide to the Virginia Beach area. If this is your first time listening, I am so glad you found this show. Each week, I publish a new interview with locals ranging from musicians, government officials, CEOs, artists, and much more. And my aim is simple. It's to help you discover, define, and then go out and do exactly what you're looking for during your next vacation, relocation, or outing to the Virginia Beach area. And if you're looking to join in on the conversation, take part in monthly giveaways, and get your hands on my custom event calendars, head on over to Facebook and send me a friend request. That's Joseph Trahan. And check out my Facebook group of nearly 50,000 fans of the Virginia Beach area. Don't worry about writing anything down. The links for each episode, along with the Facebook groups, will be in the description below and also in the show notes. All right, here's the show. We have the incredible pleasure of speaking about one of the most iconic pieces of history for Virginia Beach, the Cape Henry Lighthouse. And of course, since we can't physically talk to a lighthouse, to help share with us the history and story of the lighthouse, we have the pleasure of welcoming Rachel Balderson, an historical interpreter for the Cape Henry Lighthouse. Rachel, welcome to the podcast.
Hey, thank you for having me.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm stumbling over my words because I am so excited to talk about this, because this has definitely been on the list of one of the most frequently asked questions throughout the Virginia Beach community. And of course, it's great to have you. Before we dive into the lighthouse specifically, can you tell us what inspired you, Rachel, to become a historic interpreter for the Cape Henry Lighthouse?
I actually went to college here in the Hampton Roads area over at ODU, and I have a degree in Parks, Recreation, and Tourism. So I was really interested in the tourism aspect, as well as the possibility of having a job where I could be outdoors or be active for most of the day. I knew that just sitting around at a desk just wasn't for me. So I wanted to always be learning and always be moving. And so when I was in my final year of college, I was looking around and we needed to do an internship for our final semester. And I was, flipping through the book of potential internships. I actually did not choose the lighthouse, although I saw the lighthouse as an option to do an internship. I actually chose a different internship. But when I finished that internship and it was time to get a job, the lighthouse had stuck out to me. My mom is a lover of lighthouses. I thought it would just be a really interesting tourism opportunity. So it fit into my major, and it was just an interesting opportunity. So I applied and they called me, and I have been there for about 4 years now. So definitely
been there ever since you graduated.
Yep. Yeah.
I love it. And one of our common questions here is, of course, why did you stick around? I mean, a lot of folks, they go to school or they join the military and they leave the area and they like Hampton Roads and Virginia Beach, but, they part ways for whatever reason. For you, Rachel, what got you to stick around and build your life and your business here?
The area was just so intriguing to me. Like I said, I graduated college here, and there was just always something to do in this area. There was never a dull moment. We got the zoo in Norfolk, the aquarium in Virginia Beach. There was just always something going on, lots of festivals, Town Point Park and at the ocean front. There was always something going on. And I really liked that lifestyle, like the constant movement and, always being able to interact and engage in the community. So I really love just the vibe of the Hampton Roads area. And of course, finding the job at the lighthouse was great because they were very flexible with me. It's a very fluid job. So, I was there throughout COVID, and they were really flexible with schedules then, and really worked with us during that hard time. And so I just really loved the kind of sense of community that I got from working at the lighthouse and how easy it was to work with them through scheduling and everything. And I think that was one of the big things that really kept me around.
I love it. And it speaks to the vibe here. And of course, we could go into so many lighthouse analogies for representation of beacons and everything, but we'll save that for another time because we got to talk about the Cape Henry Lighthouse. For our listeners who are unfamiliar with the lighthouse, Rachel, could you describe its architecture and historical significance. And of course, I'm going to let you take the reins. So if you already have something pre-planned that you already go through as well, I'm gonna let you just take it away, and we'll just chug along from here. Sound good?
Yeah, absolutely. We'll do the history first. The lighthouse was built in 1792. It is actually the first federally funded public works project in the new country. So it's the first building that the federal government made after they became our own country, after the Revolutionary War. So that has a huge historical significance already. It was active from 1792 until 1881. And so we had just a slew of really important lighthouse keepers. Lighthouse keeping was a very coveted job at the time. So, we had Revolutionary War heroes. We had later on during the Civil War, we had people who were Civil War heroes. Lots of ties to the founding fathers to be a lighthouse keeper. So it's always really interesting to learn their stories as well. And the lighthouse was active all the way up until 1881, which is when they built the new Cape Henry Lighthouse, which is directly across the street. So Cape Henry is one of the only places that you're going to see two lighthouses right next to each other. So it's very picturesque, and it's just another very unique kind of experience when you're there to visit. The lighthouse itself, it is in an octagon shape, so 8-sided. It is built out of two different types of sandstone. The base of the lighthouse being Aquia sandstone, which is the type of sandstone that they built like the Washington Monument out of, and a lot of other monuments in DC. And then the top is like a red Connecticut sandstone. And so they call sandstone like the nation's birthstone because there are so many monuments that are built out of sandstone. So I think that's really interesting. And inside the lighthouse, there is a cast iron staircase. It's 102 stairs to get to the very top of the lighthouse. And they are cast iron. So those stairs in particular were put in 1867. So it's really cool. It's very hands-on history when you're there and you're visiting.
Yeah, absolutely. Especially considering you can actually go all the way up, right? There's not like a broken part of the staircase. Although if you are feeling a little winded that day, it's better just to take a picture for the gram and go all the way up, right?
Yeah, it's definitely a leg workout, but you can go all the way to the top into the lantern room. We don't have a lantern anymore in the old Cape Henry Lighthouse because we were decommissioned in 1881, and then actually in 1953, Hurricane Barbara came through this area and actually took the original lantern room off, and so they rebuilt a replica of the lantern room, but that makes it so that it's a nice open space for when you're visiting to go all the way up.
Absolutely. And for our history buffs, out there, Revolutionary War time, and this is one of the first pieces. And of course, I'll lead right into Rachel. Would you mind sharing the geographical location and then also significance it's played for both the local city here and of course the state of Virginia as well?
So the lighthouse sits on Cape Henry, which is on the north end of Atlantic Avenue for the locals, the north end of Virginia Beach. But it sits right at the opening of the Chesapeake Bay, right at the mouth of the Chesapeake Bay. So every ship that is coming in to, the Norfolk ports, the Portsmouth ports, all the way up to the Baltimore ports, with things that you ordered on Amazon and all that good stuff, they have to pass right by the lighthouse. So it was very important, especially back in the day, because shipping, even early on, Jamestown settlement, shipping the tobacco back and forth to Europe, had to have a lighthouse there or some sort of light source to get people in and out of the bay. And so I think that is just it's a very significant location because of how many people pass by on any given day.
Yeah, absolutely. Any fun stories or historical characters you want to mention that might have crossed over the waterways, possibly during any point of Virginia history that stands out directly to the lighthouse?
Let me see. One that is more so has been passed down from stories. Like I said, we are right there at the mouth of the Chesapeake Bay, and directly across from us is Cape Charles, which is the southern tip of the eastern shore. And the stories passed down are that Blackbeard, the pirate Blackbeard, used to hide his ships along the eastern shore, and because it was so easy to get in and out of the little jetties, and so like Governor Spotswood, he had a bounty out on Blackbeard's head, and he would hide right there at the mouth of the Chesapeake Bay, like in between the two lighthouses with his ships. So that was always a funny one. And then another story about some very, very famous people stopping by. This was before the lighthouse was there, but it is a story that most people don't tell you. Right along the beaches where the lighthouse is present day was actually what we call the first landing. So the 3 ships from the Virginia Company, the Discovery, the Gadsby, and the Susan Constant, with Captain Newport and Captain John Smith, they actually landed here on the beaches first, where Cape Henry is, and that's actually how it got its name, Cape Henry, because it was named by the Virginia Company after King James's son, Henry. And they kind of explored the area a little bit before getting back on the boats and heading to Jamestown. So they did their first landing at Cape Henry in April and then made it to Jamestown in May.
I love it. I love it. And of course, many people who are very deeply invested in Virginia history probably have heard those tales before. And I've actually heard rumors that Blackbeard's treasure is buried somewhere on the Cape, maybe near a First Landing State Park, or maybe at your office. You guys have found it. And you're like, no, we need to preserve this. Too many people are out here digging around.
Right. Yeah. We actually have it hidden underneath the lighthouse.
Yeah, right. Well, Rachel, obviously preservation is key for historical landmarks, and you mentioned Hurricane Barbara earlier. Can you talk about the efforts made to preserve the Cape Henry Lighthouse and what goes into that process of daily parks and rec, just upkeep and maintenance?
Yeah. So the lighthouse is owned by Preservation Virginia, which is the state's oldest historic society. We own a few other sites around the state as well. So like you said, preservation is key. And we've started some huge preservation initiatives starting in 2018, where we actually did a full plaza restoration, because the lighthouse sits on top of a sand dune. Right. So it's essentially on top of a hill. And originally it was just the sand dune. And so, of course, sand shifts, sand moves. And so a lot of the base of the lighthouse, which is supposed to be covered, was becoming uncovered because of all the sand shifting. So 2018, 2019, we did a huge restoration project. We actually raised the height of the sand dune, so it was back closer to what it would have been when the lighthouse was built. And we installed a brick plaza area to help keep that sand from moving again. And with that, we installed a lot of interpretive signage, a lot of historic signboards, and a nice sitting area. And it looks really nice for the visitors, but it also helps to stabilize that dune and to keep the sand from, eroding away and exposing too much of the base of the lighthouse. So that was like a phase 1 of our huge restoration. We actually have another phase coming up in 2025. Where we're going to be what they call stitching the cracks. So there are some cracks in the lighthouse, because it's a very old building. We're going to be filling them with a period appropriate mortar. So we're going to be making mortar the same way that they would have been in 1792, and using it to fill the cracks to help keep the moisture out and stabilize the lighthouse. And it's a huge, huge project that's coming up. And then in between, we've done a couple other little projects that are more towards just restoring the lighthouse. So we actually repainted the staircase that's inside back to its original color that it would have been when it was installed in 1867. And by doing that, we also got rid of any lead-based paint that could have been there throughout the years. So they said helpful as
Good
well
call.
as
Good call.
Yeah. It's like, wow, it's really great because this is what it would have looked like in 1867, but also there's no lead-based paint anymore. So good.
Yes.
And we have a really great preservation team at Preservation Virginia, and they come in, they do the checks, they do the smaller projects. If there's a window pane broken, they restore it, or if the framings around the window, replacing sashes, the smaller projects, that's what our restoration team does, and they're really great. And then the big projects are what we raise money for.
Yeah, absolutely. It sounds like quite a large undertaking, no pun intended. I mean, I guess the architects back then weren't really concerned about sand shifting, because if it's land, it's land. You can build on it, right? So when it comes to the, ensuring the lighthouse remains, a welcoming and accessible, as far as it can go, accessible destination for visitors, what part or activities do you have on the day to day to help, continue along with the preservation yourself?
Of course, all preservation, it depends on people coming to visit us. And so we have been rolling out some new projects and some new activities. We do what we call them dune talks because you're on the sand dune when it happens.
I love it.
But they, yeah, they center around, we usually have like a monthly theme, life of a lighthouse keeper, where we would have special artifacts and things displayed that would dive more into what being a lighthouse keeper would have been like on the day to day. We have information about the African American lighthouse keepers that worked at Cape Henry, because of course they left Cape Henry and went on to do really great things. So you should learn all about them. And women lighthouse keepers. So we have these more specialized toward, it's a themed month or something. We do that. In the wintertime coming up, we have our ugly Christmas sweater climb. So you get discounts on admission if you wear your ugly sweater, and you get a great picture taken, because everybody loves wearing an ugly sweater. And then, we have actually this past year, we had our first Cape Henry car show. So it was really great. We had a bunch of really cool antique cars come out, and great picture opportunity with the lighthouse in the background. Of course, every year we celebrate National Lighthouse Day, which is August 7th, which is a big deal for us because we have both lighthouses open that day. So
Right.
only day out of the
And
year.
the first.
Yes. So it's very exciting. So like I said, we try to put on these special events because we wouldn't be here if it wasn't for the people who visited us.
Absolutely, absolutely. And for our listeners who are, may not have been yet or are planning a trip, would you mind walking us through what an average visit might look like? And then, of course, it is on a military base. So let me preface that with what can folks likely need to prepare for or expect during their visit to the lighthouse?
So yeah, we are located on a military base. We're located on Fort Story. So we have a very great relationship with the base, and they allow everybody to come visit the lighthouse. So what you do is you show up to the gate, which is gate 8, which is on the north end of Atlantic, and you let them know that you're there to see the lighthouse, and they have you park your car off to the side. Everybody over the age of 17 needs to have an ID of some sort, something with your picture on it. And they actually will exchange your ID for a day pass. So you have a day pass, it's got a map on it so that you'll know all the places that you can visit and all that good stuff. And then they get you on a shuttle, and then the shuttle comes and it drops you off right at the lighthouse. We have a visitor center that is at the base of the old lighthouse. You'll come in, we'll go over a couple safety things with you to get you started. And then you leave right out our back door, and it is straight up 79 steps to the base of the lighthouse. So no breaks, just you get started right away. And of course, we are open all the way to the top unless there's inclement weather, thunder, lightning. You don't really want to be in the top of a lighthouse if there's a bad storm coming.
No, absolutely not.
Open. And then we do also offer some guided walking tours. They're usually in the wintertime, it's usually 11 and 2, and then in the summertime, 11, 1 and 3. And that actually, you'll have a guide with you that takes you all the way around base to all of our different historic sites. You get a little more information than you would if you walked around by yourself. But of course, walking around by yourself is also an option as well. And then we also there's a small historic national park that is kind of across the street from us called the Cape Henry Memorial Park. And that's actually where they commemorate the landing of the settlers back in 1607. It also has a beach overlook area. And it talks about the Battle of the Capes as well, which was a very decisive naval battle during the Revolutionary War. So once you're finished seeing all the sites that you want to see, you hop back on the shuttle and they take you back to the front where you'll grab your ID, get in your car, and you have completed your visit.
Wonderful. Wow. What great information. I actually did not, was not aware they had a welcome center as well. Of course, when I went, I was with my family who are military personnel. So we're just like, we'll just give ourselves the tour, and,
Yeah.
chipping off the lead-based paint and all the fun stuff that goes, when you don't have a tour guide. But, it definitely is great to have those resources as well. Thanks for sharing that, Rachel. That's really fun. So, is there any cost associated with going, and what days and hours can folks likely expect to visit during the winter and summer months? If you haven't covered that yet, I don't think I heard those directly.
So we are actually open all year round, generally 7 days a week, of course, other than major holidays.
Sure.
We're open all year round. And then from March until November, we are open from 10 a.m. until 5 p.m. And then November to March, we're open from 10 to 4, just because it gets a little darker a little earlier.
Right.
And then, of course, we have two options. Like I said, we do offer the guided walking tour at, usually 2 to 3 times a day. And if you wanted to do the guided walking tour as well as go to visit the lighthouse, it is a $14 combination ticket to do both of those. If you just wanted to go up to the lighthouse, I could do a self-guided tour up to the top. It's $10 general admission, $9 if you are military, AAA, or over 60, and $8 for any kids or students of any kind. So it's kindergarten all the way through grad school. And if you do the self-guided tower climb, we do have a historic interpreter at the base of the lighthouse to give you a little history to answer any questions. So you're not all by yourself. You do have someone to help you out there if you need to.
Incredible. Rachel, have you given any tours yourself, or do you save that for the other historic enthusiasts in your organization?
I have done a few tours. Like I said, I started out as a guide about 4 years ago, and I transitioned into the site coordinator position about almost 2 years ago. Actually, we're coming up on 2 years. So my first 2 years, I gave lots and lots of tours. I did lots and lots of dune talks, and now that I'm in the site coordinator role, I do a few tours. I do about one tour a day versus the regular 2 or 3.
Okay, you put in your hard work, right? Now you get to do a little bit managerial oversight. I really like that, and of course, getting a well-rounded experiences and having that face-to-face with the community is really important, because just like in this podcast and the community that helps encourage me to know who to have next on the show. It's all about allowing the community to influence the way in which we conduct and operate our organizations. Just better educate people about the area, and of course, invite them to come and check it out. During your time giving tours, Rachel, I'm curious for you. You obviously probably came in contact with a lot of different people, a lot of different stories. Are there any stories or moments that stand out to you when it comes to guest engagement that really stick out in your memory as being unique or memorable?
Let's see. We get a lot of questions. The usual go-to question is there an elevator? Get a lot of that, or I didn't know I had to climb stairs. They're like, it is a lighthouse. Now there is one lighthouse in the United States with an elevator. That would be the Sullivan's Island Light in South Carolina. So I'm not sure if you're allowed to go in that one. But unfortunately, the old and new Cape Henry do not have elevators. But let's see. I'm trying to think. I mean, everybody's special in their own way, of course. But we have had a few visitors that have come in with old pictures.
Sure.
Because, way back in the day, long before my time, the 50s, 60s, they'll come in with like a family portrait of them at the lighthouse, and they want to try to recreate the photo. And of course, things look a little different now. But we always try our best to help them recreate their family photos of them at the lighthouse from years and years ago. So it's always fun.
That's so fun.
Yeah. We had one family, and they came in and they were in like almost the exact same outfits, but it had been like 50 years. So I thought that was really cool. And then of course it's always really fun to get like descendants of our lighthouse keepers. So somebody comes in and says their great-great-grandfather was a lighthouse keeper back in, the 1850s. It's really interesting to like hear their stories and see if any of that experience from when their, great great grandfather was a lighthouse keeper, if any of that information had been passed down. So I think it's really cool.
Yeah, absolutely. Especially considering just how important history is and preservation, and continuing on with telling those stories. Right? It's easy. It's so easy in the digital age right now, just to snap a picture on your phone and just kind of have it there sitting in the camera roll, but just to really have a tangible piece of history and evidence like a lighthouse, I'm sure is very impactful for a lot of people. Transcends different generations. Yeah. So looking forward to the future, and I know you mentioned a couple different projects here, Rachel, but as far as what folks might be able to be looking out and expecting for the winter and upcoming 2024 season, anything else that we can that's not classified that we can maybe dive into a little bit more? Or have you covered everything you guys got going on that's not top secret?
Well, we have a lot of cool projects coming up. We're actually hoping for 2024 to roll out more virtual programs. So something like, a Zoom meeting where you'd be able to log in, and we would be going over, diving more into very specific history about the lighthouse. And that way, if you hadn't gotten to come out, or, you weren't able to make it out to the lighthouse, but you really wanted to learn about, the village of Cape Henry or something, you'd be able to log into a virtual program and learn all about that. So we're hoping to have at least one every month for 2024 season. So we're excited about that. We're also getting more into some kids activities, like our stories by the sea. So we would have it I think we have it planned for every Wednesday in the 2024 summer, where you meet out on the beach overlook. So you'd be right there on the beach. We would read a story that was related to the lighthouse and then do an activity with the kids. So we're excited for that. Like I said, just excited for new ways to engage the community in the lighthouse. And of course, we'll be doing our car show again this year. And of course, we'll be doing National Lighthouse Day. Again, this will be my third. So this coming August will be my third National Lighthouse Day that I've helped plan, and that we've had the new lighthouse open as well. Like I said, that's a once in a year opportunity. So we're super, super excited about that. And yeah, just more education opportunities for the public to get to know us at the lighthouse.
Yeah, absolutely. And we, of course, appreciate you having this conversation with us today. Diving in a little bit more to the ins and out of the lighthouse and what folks can expect when they go. Rachel, I know we're coming up on time, so I actually have a proposal for you. So most guests get a rapid fire question section. These questions are quick and fast, they're rapid fire, but you're a historian. You studied locally, and I'm sure you're very passionate about history. So I also have comprised a list of historical questions to see how well you actually know the area. Which one sounds more appealing to you? Would you like to do the history quiz or the rapid fire question?
I'll try the history quiz.
Perfect. Well, it was all generated online, so okay. You're probably going to ace it. You're going to ace it. All right, Rachel, first question is, what year was the Cape Henry Lighthouse first lit?
First lit, that would be 1792.
Okay, and we'll do the answer and explain as well, because, history, right?
Yeah, so construction was started in 1791, but it was completed in 1792. So it was first lit on November 17th of 1792.
Perfect. All right, that one is correct. Just double checked it against my sources here. Just kidding. All right, Rachel, who founded Virginia Beach?
Oh, who founded Beach?
And we'll say colonial, post-colonial era. Right?
Now, are we talking like Virginia Beach because it was incorporated in 1962?
Right.
So
we're gonna talk Virginia Beach post Princess Anne merger. Yeah.
Oh, I'm not sure about that one. I'm not sure.
All right. So my research says Adam Thoroughgood. Thoroughgood. Yeah.
I think that was. See, I'm thinking 1962 Virginia Beach. I think that was more Princess Anne County.
That was a Princess Anne County.
Long ago.
Yeah. Love it. That was a tough one. And then, of course, what year did Virginia Beach become an independent city? Survey says
1962, right?
Yep.
Okay.
Name the famous explorer who first landed near Virginia Beach.
The Virginia Company landed. I think when you say most famous explorer, it would be John Smith.
John Smith.
He did.
Absolutely.
He did the exploring. The expedition was captained by Christopher Newport, but John Smith did most of the exploring.
Yeah. Shout out to Christopher Newport School or whatever too. All righty. What's the oldest building in Virginia Beach?
Would that be the Thoroughgood House?
That would be the Thoroughgood House. Yeah, circa 1719. All righty, Rachel. How you feeling? Feeling good? You go up for a couple more?
I'm a little nervous. We actually do a Virginia Beach trivia every year called Pints for Preservation with the Historic Planning Commission in Virginia Beach. So I should know this. And I feel like if I get any of these wrong, Mark Reed from the Planning Commission is going to have words with me.
Well, we can tell Mark Reed we were practicing for the event.
Right.
How's that sound?
Sounds good.
When was the first Virginia Beach boardwalk built? The original, the OG boardwalk.
Was it in the 30s? So
Nope.
I'm trying to think.
Before that, this is Princess Anne Hotel days, back when we first started, before the fires.
Isn't that? Oh, it would have been 1800s, wouldn't it?
Yep.
Because Cape Henry was around in 1902, so it would have been before that.
Would you like some answer choices?
Yes.
All right, let's do some answer choices. So we have 1861, 1888, 1900. I'll just do three. Keep it simple.
88.
You are correct. 1888. Yes.
I was going to say 87, but then you said 88. So I was like, that must be it.
Yeah, it was in construction along with the Princess Anne Hotel. It opened. The hotel burned down like 2 years later and burned up the whole boardwalk. They built it one more time on wooden planks, and then they realized in the 1900s, no, we gotta like structurally engineer this not to burn ever again. So yeah. All righty. What historical event is commemorated at First Landing State Park? It's easy one. You got it. You already mentioned it.
The First Landing?
Yep. First landing of the Jamestown colonists, 1607. Name a famous shipwreck off the Virginia Beach coast.
Oh, well, I don't know if that's the name of the ship. The Norwegian Lady.
You got it. Yeah, the Norwegian.
I don't know
Lady.
if that was the name of the ship. I know
it was called the Dictator, but it was a Norwegian shipwreck. Do you want to try and guess the year?
Ooh, I read about this because there's a statue on the boardwalk now of because it had a woman on the front of the ship, and it's the Norwegian Lady. I'm going to say late 1800s.
That's perfect. 1891 on my sources. And of course, for any of you listening in the comment section and want to blast me for not doing my research, let me know in the comment section if I'm messing any of these dates up, because I'd love to, of course, make sure that Rachel gets a 100% on her pints and celebration for the history of Virginia Beach. I got two more for you. Which president had a summer home in Virginia Beach? He also hung out at the Cavalier Hotel.
It wouldn't have been President Taft. He visited, but I don't think he summered here.
No, he was a loser. He never bought residential real estate in Virginia Beach. Yeah, he was missing out.
I'm not sure on that one.
We got President Woodrow Wilson. President Woodrow Wilson. That was during the time they were inviting all of the bands to come out. The Cavalier had like one new band every week, and they were really trying to push like, oh my gosh, Virginia Beach is actually a place people should go, because it was a sleepy town before that. So yeah, great stuff. Last one for you. What was the original name of the Virginia Beach area?
Are we going Princess Anne County?
Princess Anne County. You got it. Awesome. Rachel, that was super tough because I was like, I did a little guidebook for our Facebook group about the history of Virginia Beach. I was like, let me turn the screws up. So that was like difficulty medium to hard. You did phenomenal, Rachel. I'm glad you picked that one, because not many people know about all the parts of Virginia Beach that make it what it is, but there is so much history. And of course, shout out to Norfolk, because without the Norfolk Railroad coming over and funding the development of Virginia Beach, we wouldn't be where we are. So Norfolk, our sister city, thank you so much. And of course, Rachel, thank you so much for the opportunity to chat with you. Before we go, we would love to roll out the virtual red carpet for you. This is your time to share any final words or messages you'd like to leave the audience with. The floor is all yours.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, thank you. Like I said, if you are interested in any of those kind of events that we have coming up in 2024, please tune into our Facebook and our Instagram, just Cape Henry Lighthouse, or we also our parent company, Preservation Virginia. And we put all of our events on Facebook and on Instagram before they happen so that you can stay up to date and come out and visit us if there's anything happening that you would want to see.
Love it. Love it. Rachel, thank you again for your time. All the links to the preservation and, of course, the lighthouse will be in this link in the description below. And thank you to our dedicated listeners for checking us out on another episode of Discover Virginia Beach. We hope you've enjoyed this conversation. And, of course, if there are more questions you'd like me to ask in future episodes, just alongside pressing that like button, leave a comment in the description below, and hope to catch you all on another episode very soon.